I've got a new TV. This is the Hisense U8K and I've got two questions. One, what is mini LED really like? And two, is this worth the money? You see, this is my first experience of a mini LED TV, and if you're new to this channel, I should point out that I don't review many TVs. So what I'm not going to do is sit here and reel off loads of testing that I've done and comparisons with competing products, because I haven't done any of that stuff. What I am going to do is let you know what this thing is like from a normal bloke's perspective, because I did that with a mid-range Hisense TV last year, and you guys seem to like that. And let's be honest, by now you've probably seen all of the in-depth reviews and comparisons of this TV. If you've reached this video, you just want to know, should I buy it? Please stop me searching on YouTube. And I can guarantee... All right, mate. And I know that one of the main questions you've got is, should you buy a mini LED TV like this one over an OLED TV, which is still really expensive technology? As you'd guess, and like all TVs these days, the U8K has a massive spec list, so I won't go through all of it. But while you're watching me unbox it, and by the way guys, please get someone to help you do this. I didn't do that because I'm an idiot, but it is a two-man job because this TV is huge and very, very heavy. So this Hisense U8K that was sent to me for review is the 65-inch version, and it's powered by their High View engine. As mentioned, it's a mini LED panel which has full array local dimming, HDR Dolby Vision, HDR10 and 10 Plus, a 144 Hz motion rate, a 6 millisecond response time, 1500 nits of brightness, a 5000:1 native contrast ratio, a 0.2 nits black level. It's got an anti-glare and anti-reflective screen. There's IMAX enhancement and integration with all major streaming services, including Apple TV. We've got Amazon Alexa integration, AirPlay 2 support, front-firing speakers with Dolby Atmos, and a bezel-less design. When it comes to pricing, the 55-inch is £1,099. The 65-inch, which is this one here, is £1,499, and the 75-inch, which is the biggest one you can get, is £1,999. The setup process for this TV is really straightforward, so once you've got someone to help you get it out the box and put the stand on, you basically download an app called Vida. It's spelled V-I-D-A-A. It's basically just a way to get the TV onto your Wi-Fi network and up and running without touching the remote, which I am a big fan of. So these TVs use loads and loads of very, very small LEDs to backlight the display. And as you'd guess, those mini LEDs are much smaller than the LEDs that you get on normal LED TVs, which results in much better backlighting, much more consistent backlighting, and much richer blacks and brighter whites. Put simply, if you don't want to spend an absolute fortune on an OLED TV, because they are still incredibly expensive, yet you don't want a bog standard LED TV. You want something that is really impressive but not astronomically priced. This makes sense. And the U8K has 6 more local dimming zones than the model it replaces. So in theory, it's even better than the outgoing version at that screen brightness and those really deep, rich blacks. Now, the more you research mini LED, the more you discover there are some downsides. So I thought I'd put that to the test on the U8K just to see if it exhibits any of these issues associated with mini LED, and I couldn't find any. The first thing is blooming when you have a very bright subject which bleeds into other areas of the screen. The most obvious example of this is if you have a very bright subtitle, a few words passing across the screen, and as they pass across the screen, they seem to leave a bit of a trail. It just looks a bit messy. I tested that on the U8K and I couldn't spot any blooming whatsoever. Then you have the dirty screen effect, which is when you have dark areas on the display. So if you have a completely white background, you'll see these kind of what look like bruises almost on the display. There's none of that on here. Then you have one of my own pet peeves, which is dark corners. You get this, I think, on most TVs unless you spend an awful lot of money. On the U8K that I have, they're a little bit darker. There's a tiny bit of darkness in each of the 4 corners, but you only see it when you test it. And this is my point with these kind of tests. You only see dirty screens, dark corners, and blooming you're only going to see if you do these tests. I really highly recommend that you don't do these tests because I've never had a TV that doesn't have some minor deficiency on the display. And the problem is when you find those deficiencies, you can't stop looking at them. Now I did the test on the U8K with a very useful YouTube video which I'll link to in the description, but please tread with caution. Trust me guys, if you look at your TV and think, that looks brilliant, just enjoy it. I think the fact that the U8K does look absolutely stunning, and when I ran that test, didn't really exhibit any problems, speaks very highly of this unit. Something I have been massively impressed with on this TV is the black levels, which are so rich and deep. I've never experienced this on any TV because I've always owned LED TVs, and unless you put this side by side with an OLED panel, which would look different, I have no doubt about it, you're not going to know. And it's the same thing with the brightness level. This has 1500 nits of brightness, and you can really tell that. It doesn't blow your head off at all, you wouldn't want that, but when there's bright scenes and when there's text and stuff appearing, it really jumps out. And it's a very bright TV in general. The reflections as well on the panel are very minimal. That anti-reflective coating is doing a good job. I've got lots of lights in this studio, as you can probably imagine, and you can barely see them on this TV while you're watching stuff. But one of the best things about this TV is that it is compatible with Dolby Vision IQ, and if you're not familiar with that, it's basically a standard the TV works to give you the best possible picture. And the best thing about that is that you don't have to pick this thing up and start making settings changes or go onto AV forums and find the thread that details the best settings for all that stuff. It's just, I used to do that with every new TV that I bought. These days, because of Dolby Vision IQ, you just start watching stuff. And yes, that relies obviously on Dolby Vision content, but the more streaming services we watch these days, the more we come across that stuff, because Amazon, Netflix, Apple TV, all of them have jumped on this bandwagon. It's also compatible with something called filmmaker mode, which I'd never heard of, but I was flicking through Amazon and put something on, and it popped up and said, filmmaker mode is now active, and I looked into it, and this was introduced in 2019, and it was developed as a collaboration between Hollywood studios, filmmakers and consumer tech firms. And the idea, again a bit like Dolby Vision, was to make the need to pick this thing up and start messing around with the white balance and the picture mode and turning off motion smoothing, etc., completely redundant. And it really works. When you get Dolby Vision and filmmaker content onto this TV, it absolutely shines. It does a great job of standard definition stuff as well, so if you're watching iPlayer on this or something on ITV Hub, it looks decent even on this massive 65-inch display. When it comes to sound, this is a 2.1.2 multi-channel surround sound system, so it has front-firing speakers across here and a sub in the back. And it's not bad at all. I would like the bass to be a little bit more present. I think the fact it's got a dedicated sub on the back of this thing, I do think it should be a bit more beefy on the bottom end, but again, this is a small speaker system, it can only do so much, and really, if you're buying a TV like this, I really would highly recommend building in a soundbar and, if you can, a subwoofer, a separate subwoofer, into your budget. It does have Dolby Atmos support as well, and it does create a very room-filling sound, but once again, if you want true cinematic sound, just buy yourself a decent soundbar and a sub. Okay, onto the gaming capabilities of the U8K, and I'll keep this fairly brief because I'm not a massive gamer these days, but I did buy an Xbox Series X last year, and, well, the performance of this TV with this console might just get me back into gaming. The U8K has a 144Hz gaming mode, which means it can take full advantage of my Xbox Series X, or if you're a PlayStation owner, the PS5. And I haven't experienced 4K 120 frames per second gaming on my Xbox until I plugged it into this. It's so smooth, so immersive, so next-gen feeling. That's how behind the times I am. I still call these next-generation consoles, which, are they? Let me know in the comments. Anyway, regardless, if you haven't experienced 4K 120 frames per second gaming on a big big TV like this, you're missing out. And apart from that 144Hz game mode, the U8K also features ultra low input lag, AMD FreeSync Premium, and put all that together, basically you don't get any form of stuttering, tearing, latency. It's just built perfectly for gaming. It even has a game menu, so basically when you've got your Xbox connected to this or your PS5, you press the menu button here and you get this gaming menu pop up. So you can turn on the frames per second so you can see what the game is running at. You can change the brightness, you can change the dark detail, the aspect ratio, the screen positioning. Now this is obviously built for gamers and people who want to see the frames per second as they're playing, if that's the kind of person you are. But it's just nice to have that. And again, it demonstrates that Hisense are really, really serious about gaming when it comes to their TVs. I've been really impressed with gaming on this thing, to the point where I'm a little bit nervous about keeping this TV and my Xbox in the studio because I do want to get some work done. But the big question I have is, would I buy one of these myself, and would I recommend my friend or my family member do the same thing? Because 1,500 quid for the 65-inch, I know it's a bit cheaper at the 55-inch end, but you know, 2 grand for the 75-inch version. It's a lot of money. However, if you don't want to spend OLED TV money, and equally you don't want to settle for a mid-range normal LED TV, the mini LED stuff that Hisense is making is very impressive, and I think it's priced right. This TV will last you for many, many years, and would I buy one? Yes. However, if this is still out of your budget and the mini LED stuff hasn't really impressed you too much, then keep watching for a link to another Hisense review that I did last year of one of their mid-range TVs. It's been a very popular video for a reason, and I think you'll find it interesting, so keep watching for a link to that video.